Hey, how are you doing? Welcome to my latest Let's Talk on Periscope or live stream, or whatever we would call it. So today, let's talk Major League Rugby. This is the latest league or competition to come out of the States, and we got news about it today. For more information, I've put the link in the notes as to where I'm getting a lot of my stuff from. It's all from American Rugby News, plus also having a look around on the web and give you some background that's not included there. So let's start off with the background. So Major League Rugby is something that we have heard of before. And myself and a few others have been rather sceptical about it. So far it has been shooting from the hip on Twitter and Facebook, and all it really had was a bunch of logos. Now, apparently this time the name has been bought from them, and it's actually a different organisation, but using the same name. So that's in some ways it's not a great start, but because obviously it's going to have some of that baggage with it, but probably only amongst those really rugby diehards like myself. So not that much of a big deal. Yep, we've had the NFL or NBA style name, which didn't get off the ground, and now we've got the Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer type name having a go. So let's just have a quick look as to how is this different from ProRugby. So ProRugby was owned by one person essentially, and they started all of their teams from scratch. For those of you joining on Periscope, please feel free to type in any questions or any comments that you have about this while we're going through. So it was owned centrally, and everything was started from scratch. And also it was a fully professional league. So Major League Rugby is not starting from scratch, and it's not centrally owned. Whilst the Austin Huns are probably one of the major people behind it and running it, each of these teams, or it appears, will be owned by themselves. A lot of these teams, and I'll run through them, do exist already, and so it's not starting from scratch, it's starting from existing teams from around the country coming together to create a national league, which is something that people in Europe will be familiar with. It's something that happened in the UK when they set up their leagues and the Viva Premiership, for example, some time ago. So it's that style rather than the sort of centrally owned style as well. Let's run through some of the teams then as to who are making this up. So we've got the Austin Huns, the Chicago Lions, Dallas Griffins, Glendale Raptors, Houston Strikers, Kansas City Blues, New Orleans RFC, Rugby Utah, and Seattle Saracens. Now some of those already exist. I mean, I've talked to a player from Seattle Saracens before. The Austin Huns have been very active putting together their elite squad, which is fully professional. One of the points that has been raised is they're not explicitly saying this is going to be a professional league. It may not be. But it is looking like a national league. For those of you that don't have great American rugby and haven't remembered all those names straight up, which a bit like myself, I have got a map on my Twitter feed of where all those are, and it basically has some fairly glaring omissions. There is nothing really on the right on the East Coast, and there also is a big gap in California. And if we think about ProRugby had 3 of its teams in California and another team in Ohio, and again there is no team in Ohio or anywhere on the East Coast. So it's a fairly central league, sort of with an outpost up in Seattle. There is going to be quite a lot of travelling involved in this, which obviously gets the ranks up the costs, and also means you're not going to really have the local derbies. So it's a different approach as well to the locations and geographical spread than we had with Pro Rugby. So it's a quick check on my notes where I was going to go next. So yes, that's the teams, mainly central, not left and right. Next, the dates. So the idea is that this league would kick off in 2018, which I think there is not much of a coincidence really that the Pro Rugby's 3-year license agreement, it looks like it ends in April 2018. So you can imagine that this would kick off after 2018 to stop any legal action. Now that does require the USA Rugby will be giving their 180-day notice to ProRugby to say that they won't renew, won't extend the period, but I think currently that looks like it's not a coincidence at all around that time. Now, ProRugby licensing agreement is for the only professional league. So if this wasn't a professional league, then there wouldn't be anything against it being sanctioned. But at least one of the teams is already professional. One thing around the teams. One team that I'm a bit surprised is missing is, I remember that obviously one of the things about the Austin Huns is they are linked with Racing at 92, and there was an expectation, or there's been rumours of various French teams getting involved with clubs and setting up a second sort of league over in the USA. Toulon, for example, announced they were getting involved with a team in Florida, and that team is conspicuous in its absence in the news report. So a bit of a surprise there that Toulon's, on the assumption that Toulon's association with that Florida team has taken off, that they're not included in this piece. So in summary, this is going to be much more of a UK or European style league, something like the Rugby Premiership, where existing teams get together to create their own league. They're looking at starting it in 2018, which coincidentally is when ProRugby's sanctioning agreement runs out, and we currently don't know if this is going to be a fully professional league or not. I have said again, a lot of this information is in the link above. For those of you that do remember Major League Rugby being mentioned before, it's a different organisation that has gained the rights to the name. So the old organisation, there was lots of comments being shot from the hip, and all they were really were a bunch of logos that they produced, and we never saw any teams or anything, whereas this does seem to have the grounding of teams. There are also information that various sponsors that are already involved in rugby are interested in this in this competition, but it does have some major hurdles to come over, which is going to be a lot of the travelling is going to be a big case. So thank you for watching. Please feel free to share this with your friends, and also please feel free to become a could the leagues not work together and be like a Curry Cup Super Rugby? Yes and no. Well, they could possibly. One of the interesting things in this is that this does include. So, some things that happened with ProRugby and with Doug. Doug fell out with some clubs around player release and the contracts that the players had. One of those clubs that he fell out with was Glendale Raptors, from memory, and they are included as part of the teams that are involved in setting up this league. So there has already been falling out between significant parties on both sides. So I don't think we would see this league working with ProRugby. Doug is very much his own man, as we've seen, and he does things his way, which works sometimes in getting something set up, but doesn't necessarily work in getting something that set us up that actually worked long term. And I think that was perhaps one of the biggest problems with ProRugby. So no, I cannot see this working with ProRugby. Remember, ProRugby has also did at least put all their players and coaches on notice. And whilst I've not seen any proper reports that all the contracts were terminated at the end of the 30 days, I've not heard anything to suggest otherwise. Everybody's assuming that did happen. So, thank you everyone for listening and watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, please feel free to comment below and tick the thumbs up. If you're watching this on my blog, then please feel free to share that with people or make any comments there as well. And obviously you can always talk to me on Twitter @DrivingMore. Thank you everybody.